Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us again on Food for Thought. My name is Sunil Chandy, Father Chandy from Christ Episcopal Church, and this is a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church. And so we thank you for being with us today and connecting with us. I'm not in the church this morning, and this morning it feels kind of weird, but I'm actually in my office, and so with the cross behind, the seminary degree behind me and the cross on the other side, just so that you know that I have the credentials to do what I do. Anyway, thank you for being with us and connecting with us. And so if you are here today and watching Food for Thought, please do tell us. Tell us that you're here. Connect with us. Say hello. And your comments are really very important to us because we want to know how your day is going, of course, and then also how this is affecting your ministry or your outlook in life and your spiritual life, this programming, as we continue to think about how we as a church, Christ Episcopal Church, continues to reach out with the gospel to the world. So if you are here, tell us that you're here and say hello and let us know. I was thinking about this experience. This Christmas we're coming in. I mean, we're coming back to somewhat of a normal situation, although we're still very tentative. As a congregation, we're trying to do things appropriately and well so that people will be safe and healthy and feel comfortable as they worship together. And so, I was thinking about this time last year and how we are at a different place. And I'll tell you, my anxiety levels are so much less this year. I don't know why. I think maybe part of it is that that I've learned that through the COVID experience that God is going to help me. This wonderful, this dangerous, not wonderful, but this dangerous pandemic is something that we've all engaged with, and there was a great deal of fear about how to live, how we're going to engage with one another. And I got to tell you, 18, 19 months ago, I was in a state of panic almost. What do we do? And then last year, about this time, the same thing. How do I do Christmas? How do we do Christmas at Christ Church? How do we engage? And I had this conversation with one of our parishioners who was a former priest, or is a priest, but he was it was formerly from Connecticut, and he and Father Mike was telling me, last year, when everyone else closed up, you had your services, and it was important to have the services. And what made it possible was that we had our vestry, and we had the resources and people willing to give of their resources to help us do ministry. And so we did some new and cutting edge things, and in order to reach out more, and it was proven to be very very effective for us. But in the midst of it, there was a great deal of anxiety. Whenever we're stepping forward to doing something, that's different. There's always something. There's a part of us that fears. Well, what if we fail? What if where is the net? If somehow we fail, and what if it could even kill us? That's what the fear is, right? And but I think through this last year, I've learned that God will somehow undergird our experience. God will be the net that gives us the confidence to try something new, especially if we have our heart and mind oriented to a way that it isn't fear-based, but rather oriented so that it would give the most joy and hope to the people around us. And so, yes, I was kind of scared. I'm not that scared. No, I'm not scared anymore. I'm faithful, and I'm confident that God will somehow see everything through. in the right way. I mean, it may, life, as all decisions and actions in life, it may not work out as we planned, but at the end of the day, our faith is that God will help us. And whatever happens, um, God will use those things to help us to find hope and joy. That's my faith now, and I feel this Christmas, as we come back into services more often, and we're going back to a normal situation in terms of like the all of the services. We're still going to be doing online ministry. I think this is a really powerful thing that we're engaged in, and but I think this is how God works with us, and God has helped Christ Church as we continue to proclaim the joy and hope of Jesus Christ. Today is a special programming day for us. Today is a day in which we will have Ben Barber, who is the producer of our shows and of a lot of our programming that we've engaged with over the last 19 months. And he and I are going to just have a conversation with all of you, touching base with you, informing you about what's been happening and what we are thinking about into the future. And so I've been grateful to have him as a friend. I mean, Ben's friendship came out of this experience of the COVID, and how we manage it. And I think, and I know this is one of the reasons why I feel faithful about the future, is because and confident about the future, because people like Ben. I didn't know Ben before this experience, and God has led him to us, and I've been grateful for his friendship and help. And so let's bring Ben on board. Ben, where are you?
I'm right here.
Hey.
I'm right here. And I think friendship is a little strong of a word. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. You're always kidding. I know.
How are you doing today?
I love this. So you just echoed what the prophet Jeremiah said. Where are you? Here I am, Lord.
There you go.
I am here.
You know what? That makes sense to me. Jeremiah was my best friend's name growing up. So.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
It was fun. A lot of Ben and Jerry comments. A lot of Ben and Jerry, and our other best friend's name was Tom. So Jerry got it in either direction. He got Ben and Jerry and Tom and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. I love it. Oh, and I love the Ben and Jerry ice cream. You should give me one for that. Just because.
I won't, but I won't. You know what? Yeah, I'll Postmates it or something to you. DoorDash. Okay. One pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Oh, all right. That
sounds good. What's up? What are we talking about today?
We're talking about this experience. I mean, about this experience. What do we think about it? And maybe you could even share some of the numbers of. I mean, we've had some really amazing results in terms of internationally, in terms of our exposure through the various states in our country, and then also how we're connecting to so many more people. And then, of course, then we could start talking a little bit about what are we planning for this next year and how we're going to continue to incorporate this experience a bit.
So, I was actually a little shocked when I looked at the numbers. When I looked at all of the graphics breakdown of who watches the Christchurch programming. I mean, we share it out to a lot of Christian Facebook groups and Episcopalian Facebook groups and whatnot. So it reaches a broader audience than just Westerly Stonington. And we knew that, but I don't think that we knew how far it reached. And so you have fans in, which means people that consistently watch the shows or services, in 48 states in the country and 46 different countries around the world.
Wow.
Now some of those are just like one or two people in, like Trinidad and Tobago for some reason. they're watching the show and they like it, and they, and they continue to watch and be on there. And also because Facebook, we have the subtitles on, so all of the shows and services have auto captioning, on. And because of that, the shows and services have been translated into 19 different languages.
Wow.
Not by us, just by the algorithm of Facebook. People see it, they find the choral Eucharist service, they find morning prayer and food for thought and Compline, and they watch it, and because they don't speak English, Facebook does it for them, and puts the subtitles in. So we've been very fortunate for that, and yeah, it's just, that's really cool. That, I mean, I know that you've joked that the show's international because your mom watches it in India.
Yeah.
But
She does. Well, she's in Dallas, Texas now, so she's watching it
okay,
there.
but with Kathy Aiello, I think, right, from
Yeah, 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 right.
from Texas. Yeah, I love when people comment and say where they're watching from. But yeah, it's interesting, and there's a group of people that watch in India, and there's people that watch in Uganda, and there's people that watch in South America, and it's very cool, and I think that it speaks to the uniqueness of what we're doing here.
Yeah,
Um, you know, and that was like when you and I first talked about food for thought. Again, the name food for thought came from March 2020. Lockdowns happen. You and Caswell decide that you're going to go live every day at noon just to talk. Just you're going to have lunch with your parishioners. You're going to go on and you're just going to talk and you're going to pray with them. And if anybody needs anything, they can ask you there. It was like public office hours,
yeah,
right? That's what food for thought started as. And then when I came on, so that you could, interview the bishop and do those sorts of things, um, it was like, okay, well, this is a tool now where we can communicate with the community. And if something's happening, if someone has an event, if a nonprofit's trying to raise money, if the school has a big thing going on, whatever it is, like, this is a platform now for people to come on and share their stories, and for the church to help connect the community the way that it's always been, and the way that it's always been supposed to since it was formed. So it's very cool to see that happen and to see that grow.
it's interesting because I have like here a list of thank you notes right underneath my desk. And one of the thank you notes is from a college student, and I just want to make sure if I get it, I'll find it, but I'll tell you the story. Oh yeah, here it is. And I'd like to thank you for thank you from Anne, who was on Food for Thought. Anne came on, and I forgot her last name, but she was from the Westerly College Club. And one of our parishioners was watching the show, and so then she told her granddaughter Jordan. Dale told her granddaughter Jordan, and then as soon as she heard about the scholarship, she applied for it and she got it. And it's a competitive scholarship,
Yep.
and she got it, and it was and so she was able to then help afford that college expenses that she had for that year. It's like $2,000 to $3,000, and that's amazing. I mean, that's the power of this thing. And then so I get this card from her. I think this was in from November, and she wrote this little lovely card, or she bought the card but then wrote a lovely note in it. So but I think this is exactly what you're speaking to, this idea that we've had guests who come here and talk about the various ways they're offering services to our community as they want to connect with our community, and we have this information. We've had like the governor, the lieutenant governor now,
Yep.
and then state representatives, and then of course religious leaders and local religious leaders, which was really good. just
Yeah,
really good, you know?
absolutely. And I mean, we've been able to spotlight local nonprofits like the Johnny Cake Center, the Westerly Library, um, all of those organizations to expand. We had a very nice series that we'll probably do again in the new year with the clergy association, essentially, where you had, like Reverend Cal and Father Mike and Reverend Ruth on, the local faith leaders from other denominations, and and that was a cool experience. So there's a lot of fun, unique opportunities that this has presented and allowed to grow and flourish. And things like the first responder service, right? So the first responder service, which wasn't able to happen the way that it normally does in 2020, happened again this past year. And maybe the numbers were like a little lighter than you'd like in person,
Yes.
but the support online was one of the
Amazing.
biggest. Yeah, it was one of the biggest services that we've had
I
since
mean I
since
mean,
people started coming back in.
right. I'll just, I had just had a meeting with the first responders, the chiefs who are helping us organize this thing. And, we had like 110 people in person, and we had about the same amount, exactly 110 people online watching the service all through. And
Yep,
these were people who were just, and they loved it. And it
yep,
was just a powerful event. I mean, the more we do this type of stuff, the more we continue to connect with a different group of people than would normally show in church, you know?
yeah.
And
And the fun thing about that is that we count the online numbers. Caswell has been very careful to make sure that we count the online numbers extremely conservatively.
yeah,
Um, I'm supposed to give him the number of people that watch around about consistently through the show as it happens live, right? But then the wonderful thing about this is that everything is on demand. So you have a something like a Sunday morning service where you might have 50 people watching live the whole time online, and then within the next day that balloons up to 500.
yeah,
And some people aren't watching the whole thing. Some people are just coming in for the sermon. Some people check it in and then leave. And you know, some people like to just click into these things and watch them for a minute just to get that feeling, and get the feeling of going to church, get the feeling of sharing the word, and everything that comes with that. And then that's the amount of time that they had for that day, but it was there,
yeah.
you know, and that's important. So
Well, so that's exactly, I think, this ministry of presence is an important theological concept in our Christian faith. And we're in the season of incarnation, of Christmas, right? Christmas celebrates the fact that God comes into our world, into our broken world, and says, "Look, I'm here, and you can find joy and hope as you relate to me." So it's a ministry of presence. It's a ministry of where the presence of God. So when we're doing this type of ministry, especially in a lockdown situation where no one can go anywhere, right? And you're scared, and you don't know whether your loved ones are going to be passed away, or you're going to give them something that, and you don't want to, and you want to be very careful. And so this ministry of presence, it comes out in this medium. We're using this as a highway into the homes of our parishioners and those who who seek God,
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
um so some of the fun things that are changing, because this entire thing has been, an evolution since the beginning of when we've started online ministry, um is that the church has bought some new equipment, and we are in the process. It's a slow process, but we are in the process of transferring over to that new equipment, which is very fun and exciting. And Shane Belanger, who's the on-site producer every Sunday morning and does the church's website and stuff, put in a ton of research for how to get these multiple cameras that are all able to be controlled remotely, which is amazing and fantastic, and they're fixed in the church. So just a huge shout out to Shane for everything that he did for that, because that's fantastic. And then Steve Kitchen has been wonderful at implementing, getting them installed, and then Mike Evering and Evering Electric, who also helped in on that. And now, we have some T's to cross and I's to dot and stuff. But we started from a little bit of necessity. We started using them 2 weeks ago, and we started using one camera 2 weeks ago, and it went really, really well. If you guys saw the episode of Food for Thought that happened on Tuesday with Father Al Zadek, I believe he pronounced his name right. It's
Yeah,
Zadek.
Zedek. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Father Al, that was a wonderful conversation. There was, now the problem with that was that we were relying on just the audio happening and working, and it didn't at the end of that, so I had to cut it off, and there will be a part 2 in January, which is fantastic. And there were a little bit of issues this past Sunday with the audio. Shane is getting all of that fixed and smoothed over this week, which we're really excited about. But there's going to be, I believe, 3 PTZ cameras in the church. So we're going to be able to do close-ups on the choir for the first time. There's one on the epistle side above the lectern that we're going to be able to zoom in on the choir. And I'm excited to see what that looks like, because I haven't gotten to see it yet. And then there's another one up high above the choir loft that's going to be, your eagle eye view of the church. And then there's the main one that we've been using. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is important. Yeah.
Is there anything? Okay, hopefully there's nothing going on in the church.
Oh, there might be. Oh, there's construction maybe. So,
Is there construction going on in the church right
well,
now?
no, I
Let's
don't
see.
know. Take a look at it and see what
Let's.
is, because I think this is an important thing for our congregation to see, especially with those in food for thought. Um,
Yes.
Ben, are
Okay,
you? You're
I realize completely that I am black right now. There's no screen for me.
no. There's we've got a still shot of you.
You have a still
It's a
shot of
nice
me right
picture.
now?
Yeah, just a still shot of you right now.
Okay, hold on.
But
Let me change.
yeah, and as we're talking about this, I'd love to, that format where we had an interview with Father Zadek, who has just joined us on Sunday mornings. He's retired, but that was a really interesting viewpoint where we had a conversation right in front of the altar with chairs set up. Isn't that beautiful? This is great, and this is stuff that you're doing straight from your home.
Yeah, what do you want to see right now?
All right, so pull up on the altar a little bit.
Okay, so this isn't the smoothest way to do this, but I'm gonna use one of my presets just to go straight to the altar.
Oh wow. Okay, great. Yeah.
And let's see what we got here. We have this beautiful. See, so I'm gonna use presets because I'm not looking at what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely.
But that's the church,
Oh, it's beautiful.
and let's go over to you at the pulpit.
Yeah.
Very nice. So that's for the sermon, and then let's go over here. So basically, I mean, there's a joystick that controls this that's great. Right now I'm just doing it sort of manually with some clicks of buttons. But this is essentially, this is it. This is live in the church right now. If you Like Father Sunil, if you ran out of your office and down into the church, we would see you. You would pop in because this is
Yeah.
completely live.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. And so the beauty of this thing is that you're in at your at your home office, and you are able to be engaged in our church experience, and you are able to kind of and so we don't have to have a cameraman in place,
Yes.
taking space out of the sanctuary to do, to do the camera work. And
Yep.
so it's really beautiful.
Yeah. So right now, actually, let me do this. I'm gonna switch back to the other camera for a second. Um, and here we go. We should just have a seamless transition. There we go. Okay, so this is the. I'm actually gonna speed this up a little bit because that's too slow. All right. So this whole thing right here has been in the back of the church since people came back. We've had Shane and Lisa who have done an amazing job with this tripod in the back and whatnot. And that's where the camera has been for the last year.
Yeah,
Over a year, the last 16 months. So that will all be gone and it'll all be remote like this, which
yeah.
is insane. And I just want to point out that I had no idea how to run any of that. I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing with that. I could not have put that together. So kudos to Shane for doing that and then teaching me how to use it. Because that's just been phenomenal. And we've
I,
had yeah, so it's been wonderful.
Yeah, well, Shane, I'm see, and that's the thing. I mean, both you and Shane, with Caswell, you're able to kind of engage in this new thing, and it's scary because we've never done it before, right? And so even now, there's some technical glitches that we work through, but the confidence that I have now is that we will eventually work through it, and we eventually get to where we need to be, where God wants.
It'll be the way that it needs to be by Christmas, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah,
Um, it was so we put a lesser system than this into Watch Hill last summer, Watch Hill Chapel. Shane Caswell and I, and I was at the time I was like, Shane was pushing for it, and I was like, I don't really know. Like, we can hire somebody and send them down with a camera for that all summer, the way that we did the summer before. And he was like, no, trust me, this technology works. And I was like, I don't think what's really necessary. And he was like, no, trust me, this technology works. And I was like, I don't really want to do the thing with the computer and the injecting a stream, ingesting a stream from somewhere else into my computer system and figuring out how that works. And he was like, no, trust me. And I was like, I don't think we should do it. And then he was like, all right, listen, Watch Hill ordered the camera, so you're doing this.
yeah,
And it was amazing. Watch Hill worked out fantastically all summer. They have one camera, so
yeah,
you have a 3-camera setup in the church, which is like insane,
yeah,
and awesome. And it's going to change the way that we produce church and we do all of that stuff. So it's extremely cool. I can't wait to be able to do the close-ups and pan shots of the choir.
yeah.
Because I mean, you literally call it choral Eucharist service at 10 a.m. So like, I love that we're going to be able to get a better spotlight on the choir because when you're up in the choir loft, there's nowhere to put a camera, you
Right.
know? So
So
we've had these two sort of meh shots that we've had just because it's where can you stick a phone right now?
right,
And the fact that the church invested in these amazing cameras and technology is just fantastic, and it's going to serve you for years to come.
right, and the way that I think is it's so important for to understand that it's not that we want to be on TV or record ourselves or any in a it's a way to reach people,
Hmm.
especially people who are even in this even if we're all fully vaccinated, we feel many of us feel comfortable about our situation as compared to the last 18 months. There's still going to be people who are going to be at home that will not be able to come out and worship, have a worship experience. And this is a way to bring Christ to them.
And there always will be. So
Yeah,
even when if we get post-COVID,
yeah,
whatever that looks like, whatever that means, knock on wood, pray, hopefully someday we get truly post-COVID and it becomes endemic and it's as common as the seasonal flu and you just get a shot and you're good. Um, there's still going to be people, there are still shut-ins, there are still elderly, there are still immunocompromised people, there are still disabled people who, yes, the church is handicap accessible. However, that's a lot of effort sometimes, and if it's more convenient for them to stay at home, like now that you've done this thing because of this pandemic, you've created an opportunity to serve people for years to come, that you maybe wouldn't have, uh, you know, like maybe you wouldn't have thought, or people in general wouldn't have thought like the investment is worth it for such a small version, such a small portion of the population. However, like because of this terrible situation that we've found ourselves in for the last 20 months, we've built these systems and put them in place to help everyone. And because of that, I always think of my grandmother. I'm sure I've told this story before, but my grandmother um broke her hip in the early 90s when I was like 3 or 4 years old,
mhm,
and she needed hip surgery, and she stopped driving. She was in her early 70s. She stopped driving. She didn't want to go. It was to have my dad drop her off at her church, and use her cane, and everything was a lot for her. And she also had bad ears and bad eyes, and it was just she wasn't doing it right. So she had her daily devotional, and twice a year the priest would come and give her communion.
yeah,
And she hated like the televangelists on network television or cable television were not something she was interested in. She wanted her church. And if she couldn't have her church, she would just read her Bible and do her devotionals and not go to church. And that hurt her a lot. And and she lived like that until 2011 when she passed. So she 20 years almost of not being able to go into church that she wanted to, and she wanted to spend that time with those people. She wanted to see those people. She wanted to see those kids grow up, right? And and I think about her every Sunday when I log in to this control station here at my house to share Christ Church with the world. I think about my grandma, and I think about how much it would have meant to her to be able to see her priest and her congregation and hear the announcements and know what was going on at that church, and read um this Betsy Rice looks forward to this every Sunday. Every Sunday I get a text from Betsy saying thank you for putting up this prayer of spiritual communion during Holy Communion.
yeah.
It matters to people.
It
It
does.
really matters to people. And I think that's the thing that we want to always stress. And I
And
love that the church is so willing to help and eager to help. And I just want to end with one thing. You want to add something very special to Food for Thought on Fridays
yes,
in the
yes.
new year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is? Because it's a
So,
great thing for
so
the community.
yeah, yeah, no, I love so Ben, I never imagined that we'd be doing a podcast or a video podcast. Or when I first went to seminary at that seminary over there, right there, right there, and when I went and but this is like this has been enormously powerful for me because of all the people I'm connecting with, and also I love this work. It takes time to prepare and everything, but this is a really important part of uh, my day and my spiritual experience. So one of the things that so we have like 2 days right now. We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do Food for Thought live, and then occasionally we have them pre-recorded when we can't get the guests to be there live at that particular time. They pre-record with us, and then we also do on Fridays. right now, Ask a Priest, where we have a question, and then I try to answer based on my theological understanding and my experiences within the church, and all of those have been very, very instrumental in helping people in their faith lives. And so, one of the things that during the pandemic that I've been really engaging in, especially in this when we're talking about this health crisis in the country, um, I've been doing a lot more working out. I've been exercising more. I've been with a personal trainer, and then talking to therapists and dietitians and so forth. And I said, this is a really powerful thing for me, and it might be something that we could offer on Food for Thought. So on Fridays, which is kind of like my days off, I I it would be like a day just to talk about personal fitness, about health, mental fitness, about spiritual fitness, and so it's Personal Fitness Friday. We're thinking about
Mhm.
putting it out as, and then moving maybe Ask a Priest over to another day. And
Yeah.
so this is something, um, Ben, you introduced me to Jay Stevenson, who's my personal trainer. My wife and I work out with him. In fact, on Friday morning, we're going to be at 5:30 in the morning working out with Jason Stevenson. And this guy is amazing. He's got these wonderful, encouraging, wise thoughts about diet and exercise and finding balance in your life. And I have the same conversations with my dietitian, with my chiropractor, with a massage therapist that I come once every month or so. And so I wanted to see if we might be able to incorporate these people in helping people to get healthier, so that they can find balance and wholeness in life. It isn't only about being in church and praying. It's about praying outside of church as well, and
Yeah.
knowing that God is present, and wants you to have a grateful life outside all the time.
You know, I don't think that there's any better advertisement, for Jay, and I believe that Jay's actually gonna come on and talk about, fitness through the holidays next week. Um, but I don't think that there's any better advertisement Jay than the fact that Father Sunil is bulging out of the top of his, shirt there with his traps that are coming, and my shirt is falling off, and I can't get my collar to stay where I want it to anymore because it's too loose on me. So, Jay is fantastic, and that's been such a powerful, like, life transformation, and, you know, um getting your mind right and your body right. And we've, for a long time on Food for Thought anyway, we've talked to Sharon
Yeah,
Yunkin about mental health for a really long time, and we have more episodes coming up with Sharon, and some wonderful episodes coming up with some other mental health experts. And So, a little bit of physical health, a little bit of mental health, a little bit of a lot of spiritual health, with Ask a Priest, and then the community aspect of Food for Thought.
yeah,
And that's because when you look at, and we had like a big meeting in August of this past year, where we had that strategic planning session,
yeah,
you know, and it was like, what is the mission of the online ministry of Christ Church? Well, it's to serve the community. How do you serve the community? You help feed them Food for Thought. You help feed them spiritually, you help feed them mentally, physically, and grow the community. And I
yeah.
think that that's wonderful, and that's why I'm excited to continue into 2022, um, with Christ Church and with you. So thank you very much, Father Sunil.
No, thank you, Ben, and thank you for all that you do. It's a blessing. And
You're
so,
welcome. I'm leaving.
all right, it's time to go now. Well, thank you, folks, for being with us, and I hope that you enjoyed this programming. You got to see the voice behind some of what we're planning in terms of the future. The one that helps us to make sure that we have these online ministries, Ben Barber. And then, of course, you've heard about Shane Belanger and Caswell Cook, who have been instrumental. And of course, we're grateful for our vestry at Christ Church for engaging and willing to try something new. And it could be it could have been a big flop, and it could. But the one thing I love about our church at Christ Church is that we keep trying. We keep putting it out there and ask and discerning, where God is taking us as we connect with people. So I hope that you do enjoy this coming year as we engage in this ministry. But as is our tradition now, and we might have to change this prayer eventually as we move out of COVID, but this is a prayer that still is important for us. And this one is one that's written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine. Our tradition is to read this prayer at the end of the program. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled to towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors, and caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve God. Spread the light of Christ to the world around you. The light of joy and of hope and of kindness and gentleness. The world needs it right now.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.